Ed, can you hear me? Ed? Can anybody tell me if Ed's in the same room?
Yeah, Ed's in the room. So is Patricia, Gail, and Nick.
Right here,
Okay.
Ed.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. All right, so I'll make sure I was there.
You look chipper. I think David was gonna dial in too, right?
I'm here, if y'all can hear me.
Hey, David.
Good morning, everybody.
Just as a matter of process, for this board meeting, the camera has to be on, right?
Yes, I think we usually request that.
I think by Texas code, David,
Your camera should be on.
your camera should be on.
Yes,
All right.
that
I'm
is
sitting
true.
in my car, so just letting you know what the background looks like.
Put a cap on.
Happy birthday, Roy.
Thank you very much. And Patricia. Patricia's birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
You know for sure it's not right.
They may call in though.
That's not gonna help.
I'm sorry, I can't see a whole lot of people there, but good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
I see the mayor. How
morning.
you doing, sir? What's going on, John? How are you?
Good.
Hi, good morning. We are currently waiting for quorum, and once we have that, we'll begin shortly. Thank you.
Oh, Mayor, I've never done a joint board meeting before in my lifetime.
Morning, David.
Hey, Javi, good morning.
Is Will there? Will. That's the problem with dialing in. You get ignored. Is Will there? Guess we're muted.
Yes, Will is here.
Okay.
Good morning. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Opens Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a special joint meeting with the Airport Board on September 21st, 2024, at 9 a.m. in the City Commission chambers located on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas 78520. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer a public comment as provided by the agenda and as provided by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Mayor, would you like for me to conduct roll call for City Commission?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Tino Villarreal. Commissioner Brian L. Martinez. Thank you. Commissioner Roy de los Santos.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Rose Gowen. Commissioner Linda C. Macias. Commissioner Pedro Cardenas.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor, we do have a quorum. Would you like to call the meeting to order?
Yes, being that we do have a quorum, I'd like to call today's joint meeting to order.
Thank you. It is 9:09 a.m. We'll ask Ms. Lorena.
Now you guys will go through the same process. I don't know, you've got staff here, I'll do that.
Present.
Is that mic on, Carlos?
May I conduct the roll call, Chairman?
Present.
Javier
Javier.
Villarreal,
Present.
Raúl Villanueva, Gail King, Patricia Guillermo. Present. James N. Tipton, David Tomlinson.
Present.
Thank you. I want to call this meeting to order at 9:10.
Next item is Pledge of Allegiance to the flags of the United States of America and the state of Texas. United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one. Next is public comment period. Public comment period, section 2-26, meetings and agendas, public input during meetings, conduct. Conversations between or among audience members should be conducted outside the meeting room. Attendees should refrain from conversations while commission is in session, in airport is in session. Cell phones, attendees must refrain from the operation and use of cellular telephones, pagers, etc., or any mechanical devices that may disrupt city commission proceedings. Placards, banners, or signs are not to be permitted in the commission chambers or in any other room in which the city commission conducts a meeting. Included in this prohibition are various hats, caps, visors, and t-shirts, which may represent sentiments as alluded to regarding placards, banners, and/or signs. Exhibits, displays, and visual aids used in connection with presentations to the city commission are permitted. Only city commission members and city staff may approach the dais. If report, letter, etc. is to be presented to the commission, should be given to the city secretary or staff who will make the distribution. It is preferable that the item to be distributed be given to the city secretary prior to the meeting time. A copy of the item should be made available for city secretary's official record. All comments shall be made to the mayor and city commission as a whole and not to individual commission members. So we do have this morning one public comment that we received by the deadline. We have Michael Fiore.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Yes, so you have, good morning, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor and Commission. Happy birthday to those who have birthdays. Happy birthday to you guys. My name is Michael Fiore, and I am the co-founder and chief brand officer at Anyone Collective, LLC. My business partner is Steven Chavez, who is also a co-founder and chief creative officer. We believe our agency, Anyone Collective, is the perfect agency for the opportunity to work with the Brownsville Airport. We have much experience in the air transportation industry and make sure we deliver high quality work always for all of our clients. We have launched and rebranded a Los Angeles-based airport, Hollywood Burbank Airport, and continue to be their agency for the last 9 years. In addition, we have visited the headquarters of all the airlines that use Hollywood Burbank Airport. That includes Southwest Airlines, who we have visited many times, American Airlines, United Airlines, JetBlue, Alaska, Delta, Spirit, Frontier, and many more. We have won many awards from the Airport Council International Association, including the coveted Peggy G. Hereford Award for the best marketing campaign. We have helped out events for Southwest Airlines and have worked very closely with their marketing and air services teams alike. We are an agency that works with clients on a national level, meaning we are prepared and ready on the spur of the moment to either travel to or hire local staff to handle any on-the-ground tasks that may be necessary. As an instance, we have already been interviewing people on the ground in Brandsville if this happens to come up. We work very closely with our clientele, and our marketing plans are based on hyper-targeting to help bring awareness to airports like we have with Hollywood Burbank Airport. We helped them grow their passenger ship when we started to about 3.5 million where we started, and now they're over 6.5 million passengers annually. We are an agency that believes in doing what we love and working with great people. We are certainly passionate about our work and love what we do. In addition to that, we like to pay attention to the KPIs and the key performance indicators and budgets to make sure that we set our goals and meet those goals for our clients and the airport in this instance. In addition, we will provide analytic reports so that there is much transparency in everything that we do. As mentioned, we believe we are a great fit for the Brownsville Airport and believe that we can do a great job as their agency. Thank you very much.
Next, we have items for individual consideration. And for the record, I believe Commissioner Villarreal has connected virtually. Action item number 1, consideration and action to award a 3-year term contract for marketing and advertising services for an amount of $325,000 for year 1 as budgeted. Years 2 and 3 would be in an amount of $425,000, each if appropriated by the City Commission in the corresponding fiscal years. Airport Department.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, and Airport Board members. Just wanted to briefly go over the presentation about why we are recommending the award to Any One Collective. Basically, the RFP started a long time ago, actually. The first month that I was here, we discussed about going out for solicitation. We met multiple times with the Airport Board, Advertising and Marketing Committee about what should be some of the things that we should look for in an advertising and marketing company. Also, several mentions during Airport Board meetings, we discussed what could be what we should be looking for in our satisfaction with the existing marketing company. So basically, we did also our due diligence. So we do industry research. We actually compare ourselves to other airports in the country. I think that we take that very high, our opinion of other airports, how they do business. So we want to replicate what is successful. So in addition, I would say that we took our time. We basically went out for solicitation in the summer. It took us about 2 months to get through the procurement process, obviously very strict process. We wanted to make sure that we check our, dot our I's and cross our T's with everything that we did there. So definitely at this point, we have done the scoring by the team, and then we are recommending moving forward. So in the next slide, I can cover who was part of the selection committee. So the selection committee composed of 5 members. Yep, thank you. That will help. And then obviously there are subject matter experts. So we have the Director of Communications and Marketing Department for the city of Brownsville. We also had the Director for the Conventions and Visitors Bureau, Daphne Maldonado. I was also part of the selection committee. And then we also had the Airport Marketing and Business Development Manager, Lorena Cardona, and the Airport Accountant, which is Gustavo Hernandez. Some of the scope of the work for this was, obviously it's all encompassing what we do at the airport. So digital outdoor advertising, billboard outdoor advertising, digital advertising, print advertising, social media and website advertising, radio and television advertising, creation of original content, digital video, radio and website, the planning and promotion of events at the airport, and also the planning and promotion of events outside of the airport that are sponsored by us. The contract term is 3 years with 2 one-year renewals. What we're seeking is approval for the first year budget for this contract of $325,000 a year. When we did go out for RFP, prior to that, because we did so much promotion of the project, we got 11 submittals, which is unheard of for the airport here. I think the last time we had about 5.
I would also like to point out that the budget is not all general fund money. It's $100,000 of that is hotel occupancy tax money.
And then on the right, you can see some of the evaluation criteria that we put out there. It's 100 points total. Basically, most of the points are really about the experience, their qualifications, the ability to do the work, and the working relationships, and then their prior contracts they had in the industry. There was a small component, which was the fee, basically because we don't want to, trigger everything by the cheapest. So we don't want to put a lot of points to that. So the selected one was Anyone Collective, and they scored 92 points. In fact, the first 2 were pretty close. Then we had the third and the fourth that were farther behind the first 2. And I think Michael Fiore talked a little bit about Anyone Collective. This is just highlighting again what they do. They're a more winning full-size creative agency that helps global brands be successful. They have represented over 200 national and international brands in their 15-year history, and they really formed about their firm about being unconventional and make sure that we take ordinary to extraordinary, which is what we need at the airport. We are very competitive here in the Valley with the other 2 airports, so we need to do more than the other 2 do. He also mentioned the Airport Councils International, which the airport belongs to, and they won the best brand identity, digital advertising, print communications, overall marketing programs, and marketing excellence. So they bring a wealth of knowledge on the airport industry. And on the right, you can see some of the examples of the stuff they have done for Hollywood Burbank International Airport. So very catchy, very captivating. Also, I will show here in a few minutes, because I don't think the board have seen the video. There was 2 videos that were communicated with the proposal. You had to click through the proposal to be able to get to it. So I'm not sure they've seen it. So we're going to play it just for everyone's information. So the marketing proposal, some of the key strengths that we saw on Anyone Collective is that they can develop a comprehensive and forward-thinking marketing solution through a holistic approach of research and strategy. Definitely, we need the research. We need to find out why customers are going to the other airports to be able to address the marketing appropriately. Then the proposal also was tailored to our brand awareness and support the sustainable growth. Actually, obviously, we know that we're growing more and more passengers are choosing Brownsville, and we're going to definitely attract more airlines as we go along. So we need to make sure that we can address those. The milestones is a 4-phase approach. The initial phase is the strategy, marketing, discovery, and brand positioning. Second one is the 12-month advertising campaign strategies, which there are 2 marketing campaigns, which is the local and the out of market. Then the phase 3, which is a supplemental collateral that we use for anything that we do at the airport. So presentations, everything like that will flow after they create the campaign. And number 4 is community outreach and public and media relations that we always have throughout the year. On the right, you can see all the brands that are present, big brands like Nike, Warner Brothers, the Anaheim Angels, the Budweiser, ADP. On the top, you can see the Burbank Airport and also the city of Burbank, which the Hollywood Burbank Airport is not owned by the city of Burbank. The airport is an authority that is composed by four cities. So, but they do work for both, so the city and the airport. So separate entities, and I'm sure if you were to ask Michael, he can explain more how that relationship works. But Hollywood Burbank Airport is airport that is surrounded by competitive airports, LAX, Ontario, Orange County, and I always forget the little one by the Long Beach. Yes, I always forget Long Beach. So obviously, very similar market to ours, where we have all the competitive airports vying for the same passengers. Obviously, LA, much bigger city, millions and millions of people live there. So next steps for us is right where we're at right now, which is really getting approval from the city commission. And then after that, if awarded to anyone collected, we'll bring the team to meet the board, get to learn, what they have observed in the community, also meet the businesses, meet the community, meet the South Padre Island, all the things that we have to do to be able to create a robust campaign. And I believe that's it for me, because we're not on a journey yet. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Angel. I think before we open up the questions, I just want to thank everyone for being here on a Saturday. I think it speaks volumes to your dedication to the city, and also the commitment that we have as a commission to value your input to this process. So I think I do apologize on the way this agenda item lined up with your board meeting on the same day as our, and we will work very hard not to happen in the future, right? But this, as this is an important item, that's why we're here, and I'll open it up for questions or discussion.
If I may, I'd like to beg the commission's indulgence and make a few comments to begin with. I think I can streamline this meeting a lot by saying a few things up front. First off, I'm going to fast forward and then rewind the tape. We don't agree with this decision. But I think the timeline of this week that led to this meeting warrants some explanation. We met on Tuesday as a board, and were presented this. We had a lot of questions. I think it's fair to say that the board felt like there wasn't enough information to make an educated decision. And so I don't know what the motion was. Will, you can probably help me here. But I think for all intents and purposes, we tabled it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And so we said, we need more data. And so we thanks to Will, who pivoted immediately, we were provided a lot of data on Wednesday, volumes of it. Now, my first reaction as chair, I said, if we follow TOMA, which we strive to do, albeit we are an advisory board and can be a little bit more flexible, we decided, I caucused with the board and I said, and then the vice chair, and we agreed that it'd probably be best to defer until such time that we did receive that information. And this weighed heavily on me on Thursday. I did chat with Pat and Javier, the officers. And Friday morning, Javier called me, and I called Nick, who, in my opinion, is the voice of reason on our board. And I said, and Nick, those of you that know Nick, he doesn't talk a whole lot. He has a big presence, figuratively and literally. And he says something to me that made things crystal clear. He said, Mr. Chair, we took an oath to serve. And that compelled me. And so I said, okay, I don't need to make any more phone calls. I contacted Will and we said, let's do something. Let's get the group together so that we can attend this meeting on Saturday. I think that's important because I don't want it to reflect on me of not appreciating this attendance today. I can think of 100 things I'd rather be doing right now. And I just like to reciprocate that compliment, Mayor. I appreciate you doing this. It shows a lot of dedication and care for this airport. All right, so moving on. So we met yesterday and the board had an opportunity on a cursory basis review all the data, which was voluminous. And one thing I found very interesting, before we started the meeting, I did a round robin with all the board members. And interestingly enough, independent of one another, each one of the board members voted for quotient or opted for quotient. And that raised the flag with me because the board and the city are proposing another entity when the board, independent and absent most of the information, said, no, we think that this other outfit is better. And if I can just cite some of the more salient reasons, I'm going to try to summarize what the board said in aggregate. It had to do with experience, expertise, the two are not the same, leadership and affordability. And so today we sit here at crossroads because your board is saying, we think that this outfit is going to do a better job. And you folks are proposing someone else. Now, I brought the scoring summary, brought some copies for you. And I'd like to hit some of the more salient reasons why we think that quotient is better. First off, if you go to Quotient's website, they tout themselves, and I want to bring your attention to a few columns on this scoring sheet, namely the fee schedule and the columns that speak to their expertise and experience, where Quotient was scored much lower than anyone. And it calls to question the methodology. If you go to the website, the first thing you see on Quotient's website is it was co-founded by Kim Cipolla. This company they're all females that got together, 10 of them, and founded this company. And they tout themselves as the first aviation-only focused marketing company in the United States. Kim Cipolla, the president, is the former director and assistant airport director, also the former marketing manager at Akron Canton Airport. Vice President Pat Korfman, former director of marketing at Bishop International Airport. Promotions producer at WJRT TV. Tanya O'Connor, Rochester International Airport, Marketing Communications Manager. Rochester International Airport, Administrative Assistant. Collectively, these folks have over 110 years of marketing experience for airports. So it calls into question, why did they score so poorly when in fact, if you look at what anyone submitted, so in addition to what I just said about Quotient, they submitted references. And they provided references from some pretty notable airports in the United States: Colorado Springs, Rochester International, Missoula, Montana Airport, South Bend International, and Wilmington International. Airports that more closely represent the scale in Brownsville. If you look at what anyone submitted insofar as references, this is what they submitted: handwritten references. Hollywood Burbank Airport, obviously. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Burbank Airport engagement was part and parcel to a much greater engagement for the entire city of Burbank. Pioneer Electronics, they make car speakers. Graystar, which I believe is involved in real estate. This to me is a lot different from this reference sheet. So, and if you talk about affordability, so I've spoken to leadership, expertise, experience. I want to touch on affordability. And I think this was the most compelling reason. This is anyone's bid sheet. Now, we saw a different slide yesterday. Why, I don't know, but this was in the packet that we received. The slide presented to us yesterday was different. I don't know why, and maybe someone can explain it. But it shows phase one, which is 68 weeks. Site visit, research and development, brand positioning and marketing strategy, ongoing data analysis, which totals $151,000, or roughly half your budget. In the first 6 weeks, you pay 50% up front, you pay 50% when you get the data. So in 6 weeks, you've already gone through half your budgeted amount. If you look at Quotient's fee schedule, it's a little bit more reasonable. I'm having a hard time understanding this, but I see the numbers are much, much lower. So that speaks to the affordability. So those are the 4 reasons that we feel that this isn't the right choice, that I think we ought to hit the pause button or reflect on this a little bit better. You've got the entire board saying, we don't agree with you, and I think it calls for some discussion. And I'm going to ask the rest of the board members to make their sentiments heard at this point. I don't know if you want to start, James.
Ed, I think you hit it on the head. Those 2 main issues, the budget and affordability, and the references speak volumes to me on an airport size. Burbank compared to our size, compared to these other 5 airports is important to us. I think that really hits the nail on the head there. I think you hit it on the head, Ed. You're very salient. Well done.
Thing that stood out most to me in our discussions and reviewing some of the proposals was the fact that there was no detail in how much money or how much fees they were going to get in comparison to what was going to be put out there. Then in looking at it closer, we realized that there's going to be a lot already put forward and without any content. My position is that we should concentrate on an agency that we can afford, which will inundate our market. We need that. We need to be competitive, very competitive with McAllen and Harlingen more than ever before. And it's time that we really step on the gas with this and get it going. So I think that we better look for the biggest bang for our buck that is going to carry this airport for the next 3 years with a contract like that. That's, I think, the crucial point for me.
Not to reiterate, because I also agree, I had a lot of issue. I thought down the line, what if, we spent 156,000 and then we just had this little bit left, and these people actually don't work out for us, right? And then we're stuck with starting all over again. And so I was concerned about the long range issue with that. And, and briefly, because it was a lot of information, when I put a star on it, none of us talked to each other about, it was weird. We were like the procurement people. We didn't even talk to each other about which one we thought was the right one. And the key points and strengths on Quotient, the first one was airfare pricing concerns. I mean, if you go down their list, I didn't see on the marketing, the key points and strengths of the other ones, anything that jumped out at me as this page. So I also feel like getting the biggest bang for the buck. And I think California pricing is going to be double. their cost of living is double. They have to pay their people double, basically, than what we pay locally in Texas. So I think we're getting a lot less. I'm not saying they're not a good company. I'm just saying we're going to get a lot less, bang for our buck hiring somebody in California with all their overhead and expenses than somebody, possibly in Texas or in a place that is more affordable. So I feel like we are really in the crunch now of getting the airport up and running and making money. And that's why this whole board is here. We are all volunteers, we feel that we all feel like we want to help Brownsville. That's why we're here to serve. And I would, Ed has just been an amazing leader. I admire him so much and appreciate him. I just wanted him to know that.
Javier?
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, board. So I want to say also thank you for meeting on a Saturday when we first got together on Tuesday, commissioners.
Javier, can you speak up, please?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear you.
When we got together on Tuesday, something interesting happened. The board asked the administration to show us what the fees were going to be, what are the expenses, and we were pretty much told that that was irrelevant. And anybody that knows anything about business, first thing you learn is what are you paying for and what are you getting back? So we asked that they please show us the other vendors, and we wanted to see the fee schedule. Well, sure enough, when they finally produced this information on Thursday night, which is less than 72 hours ago, we got the RFPs for all 11 vendors. And sure enough, what had been occluded, what had not been given to us was in plain sight. The fee schedules were included in the RFPs. And so that's something that I think the commissioners and Mayor Cowan, you need to be aware of, that from the get-go, we weren't provided this information. We went ahead and reviewed it. I went ahead and reviewed it. And to my surprise, the first choice, I think was a really bad choice. And not because they're a bad company, but it just doesn't fit Brownsville because our budget doesn't permit for us to spend what they are quoting us. So they do talk about 4 phases, commissioners, but if you look at their packet, at their proposal, and I don't know if this has changed since I saw it, but I'm going strictly from what I was given on Thursday night. Phase 1 was going to cost about $150,000. Phase 2 was going to cost about $120,000. So by the time we get to phase 2, we're going to be left with, and according to anyone, with $76,000 to advertise. So when it comes to marketing, you need to be able to market continuously throughout the entire year. If we take what's left, $76,000, that gives us about $6,000 a month to advertise. And I can tell you that $6,000 a month is not going to be enough. And I tell you this from 20 years of experience of buying ads, buying billboards, advertising on the buses, advertising on TV, filming commercials, doing the radio, social media, Google, SEO, grassroots. $6,000 a month is not going to get us anywhere. So a few months ago, the airport ran out of marketing money. And there really wasn't a point in us getting together in the last few months because there wasn't any money to spend. And so if we go with anyone, and again, I'm not saying they're a bad company. I'm just saying they're not the best choice for us. We are going to run out of money. And in order for us to advertise and to be successful, to get our name out, again, we need to be able to be very visible through different medias. And, and I'm sure you heard this before, it usually takes a person 7 to 8 times. They have to see an ad before they remember us. we're not going to be able to do that with that budget. So if we go with quotient, from what I looked at the fee schedule, the fees are going to be approximately $60,000, and their percentage is 16% for social media, 16% for digital advertising, which is in line with what I've seen personally in my business. And I think I discussed it with Nick Tipton. It's also in line with what he's seen as far as social media. So in essence, we're going to have $250,000 left to actually advertise. So, for those reasons stated above, one more thing that I wanted to point out, because I think it was overlooked, is that anyone is giving us a phase 3 and a phase 4. That's outside our budget. What they're quoting in their phase 3 and phase 4 is something that they would provide if the city came up with additional money. So I don't think you can count on us actually going to phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 3 is community outreach. So right off the bat, phase 1 and phase 2 doesn't include community outreach. So the airport right now is doing its own community outreach. According to anyone's schedule, I think Lorena right now and everybody in administration would have to be doing their own community outreach. And I don't want to take up any of your time, but I think, in life, there's difficult decisions and there's easy decisions. I think in this case, it's an easy decision, commissioners.
Thank you, Javier. David?
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I don't want to take up a lot of time either. I think a lot of it has already been discussed by the previous members that have been speaking. Just a couple of things for me. Number one, the demographics of our airport and our community. And if you look at where Burbank is, and if you look at their data, I mean, you're talking about almost 60% that is non-Hispanic, and you got about 28% that is not even from the United States that makes up that population. We really do need somebody that is in tune with the smaller airport that has the ability to serve all demographics and has that experience. Second point I want to make is that we don't have time. Okay, time is of the essence with us right now. Like Javier was mentioning about, phase 1 and phase 2, and then we're out of budget. That's pushing us back another year, probably 2, probably 3 before we start to see any real movement. And I'm not sure that we can afford to spend that much time on that part of the creativity and not getting stuff out, because we're losing out. The employments in both other cities continue to go up. We are not following suit. And with our $75 million airport, we need to make some adjustments, and we need to make them quick. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. And I want to leave the commission with a couple of more data points before I turn it back to you, Mayor. I usually look at these things from a competitive vantage point. What is it that we're doing against those that we compete with? And it's obvious that McAllen and Harlingen are our competitors. Now, you can go into the service areas overlap, and you can go to, hey, we're dealing with what we got. And I'm not going to say the next thing in a disparaging manner. I'm saying it because I think it's important to know this. Last month, McAllen had 4 times the employment than Brownsville did, which is an increase. And Harlingen has 3 times the employments that we do. And when David says we don't have time, we don't have time. Hey, we have a beautiful airport, probably one of the largest ones in the valley. You can talk all day about why we lost the market share, but at the moment, we're not faring well against our competition. So when I say I look at the competitions to see where we stand as a reference point, McAllen is using a firm out of Edinburgh. Bullocks Castor, I believe, is their name. They do a lot of it in-house. We don't have that luxury. Harlingen uses another local firm in Harlingen by the name, I think, of Leal Media. My point being here is that these folks are successful. I don't know if the secret sauce is getting a big firm out of Los Angeles. I'm not saying they're a bad advertising firm. I just think that given our constraints, our budget constraints, they're not for us. I think Quotient is more in line with what we need. Maybe there's somebody out there that's even better and more affordable. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make here is that these folks are very successful. I don't know if the secret sauce is in defining the scope more appropriately, or they're just doing a bang-up job. I'll leave it there. I think that the local aspect of presence is important, to David's point. And then finally, we're here to try to solve things. We're not here to criticize. We're here because we want to help Angel. We want Angel to be successful. And time is not on Angel's side, fortunately. And so I'd like to come out of this meeting with a solution for Angel to make him successful. I don't know what that is. The board doesn't think that anyone is that solution. I'll turn it over to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much for all your comments and feedback. I think before we open up to the commission, I'd like for staff to provide, I would say, their feedback to your comments.
There was a lot there. I don't know if I can follow all the points made, but I would say, I've been around airports for 25 years. I've seen all sorts of advertising and marketing companies. I worked for consultants that actually had to do marketing for airports. So what I would say is that the cheapest is not always better. And we actually need the best that we can here at the airport to be successful. It's not, hey, who has the most experience on airports, but if it's not the right firm that knows what a competitive market we are in and how we can apply here with outside of the box thinking, I think that's one of the things that we have to consider. I know there was some points made about, I checked the website. We're not allowed to check any websites. We have to score them by what they submitted. So we are not allowed to do what the board did. The other point that they made was, the Quotient Group, which is in this, unfortunately in this case, ranked number 4. We cannot negotiate down to 2, 3, 4. So we have to negotiate with number 1 first, which is what we did with Anyone Collective. That's where you see the difference between what it was submitted to what it was presented. They submitted a high number because they didn't know what we were looking for exactly. We had to meet with them after they were chosen by the scoring. Then we kind of narrow it down to what our budget is, and then kind of allocate buckets of funding. Not necessarily they're gonna use all the funds in those buckets. We had to agree on something to start with. They'll start working on it. If it's easy to figure out or market, there'll be money left over, and we will transfer that money to the buys that we have in there. There's other options there to reallocate funds as we continue to go through. The product that they will be providing at any phase becomes airport property. So phase 1, they do the market research. They have to hand over the market research. It becomes property of the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. The same thing on phase 2, where they actually create content campaigns. The campaigns become our campaign. And then, if we decide that, hey, they're not the right firm after those 2, we still have product that we're keeping that we can continue to use. I know that there was a point made about Quotient Group and their fees. Well, the fees were, and that's why they scored low. Again, this is just my opinion because I'm one of the 5 members of the committee. But that's why you see the disparity between the 2. I actually know Quotient Group. I actually am the one who gave them the card and said, you need to look at our airport for advertising and marketing. I know them. So there's nothing against them. I love them, but they didn't do well in their proposal. So, yes, I know Kim Cipolla. And yes, she has a lot of accolades, but we have to judge them by what they submitted. So unfortunately, they did not get a good submittal. We couldn't decipher half of the stuff. They actually were providing things that Avelo gave to them and Frontier Airline gave to them as advertising and marketing. We're looking for creativity. So if you look at, I know the board already saw the video, the 2 videos, the other firms provided collateral that they say, hey, this is what we will be able to apply to your airport. Same thing happened with the second firm. if you click on some of the things, you'll see some of the voiceovers and things that they started creating, already start creating advertising and marketing for us without us asking them to do anything yet. So they invested money on that. The other firms did not. So I think once you understand the process that we have to go through, is really focus on what they submitted. Don't look at anything else, because we have to judge them for just that. And we negotiate after we pick that firm that did the best proposal. So that's why I think you see the numbers being different. I think that's why you see that the scoring is just not to what is expected by doing outside research, right? So, but we did provide the revised form, not the high number that was in the proposal. The revised, we did show them, it was just not in the PowerPoint, because that was something they asked during the board meeting, and then Lorena pulled it up and then showed them that. I think the hourly fee, once you see it, is very deceptive. That is high. It's really a combined fee. So basically, they're proposing $300 an hour combined fee, administrative, creative, and then the other buckets that they have. So they put all those three people together. 1 hour of those three people becomes $300 an hour. So it's not that it's the admin person is $300 an hour. The creative person is $300 an hour. No, it's just combining people and then trying to streamline and make it simple for us to evaluate later. So you don't have that kind of detail on the other one. So I know there was other things mentioned. I would just say that, for help for me is not having to train a company. I think I've done it in the past where you have to train engineers and architects on how to do airport work. We don't have time for that here. We need a firm that knows airport or environment that can quickly move and start creating good stuff, not mediocre stuff. I think the previous firm struggled with that. They always rely on the airport to create the creativity part of it. They could buy billboards, they could buy radio spots, they could buy anything, but they couldn't create. So that's what we need here, creativity.
And that firm was local. It was out of McAllen. So we have tried local for a long time and supported local. I think the airport is saying that they want to try something different. 90% of the qualifications are experience, and qualifications 10% is cost, because there is an emphasis on experience and quality, right? And I think we want to try something new, right? Something different. That creative content is important from what staff is and what I saw the evaluation. We also take the procurement process very seriously. It's a very confidential process. There was even one firm that was potentially had a conflict, then that was identified by our procurement department with legal. So I just want to remind that board, sometimes we think it's a bureaucratic process, but it's also a process to protect ourselves and protect the firms, and understand that it is a very professional process that we do, and we take that seriously. And I personally thank the board. I know you have a marketing subcommittee and various subcommittees for their input and for their experience. And I also know that we can also work better together, right, as we go through these processes. And that's our commitment and staff's commitment to also understand the procurement process better for the city. We're also hiring a new procurement director. So we're evolving as a city, and as we evolve and get more sophisticated, so are the types of services that we need. So the sophistication and the as we grow, as we evolve, SpaceX headquarters, LNGs, international, we're becoming as a city and as an airport and as a downtown more sophisticated and more complex. And so we don't look at our city as being, a population of 200,000 on the border. We really look at us being international, with Aero starting and our first time services in a long time to Monterrey. We're gonna need probably billboards in Monterrey or content in Monterrey, right? We're already talking to the CBP here and there. So I just want to kind of give a little overall perspective on the process that we have, and staff is stretched thin. We would love to have a more robust in-house marketing department, but we are limited with that. But our hot tax is growing. We're looking at raising that with short-term rentals. So we'll be able to do more with hot funding as well, where it would impact the general fund less. Thank you.
And I wanted to say something real quick, Mayor, just to address one of the procedural questions or comments that was raised. I'm not going to deny that the airport board requested the information a month ago. In fact, it started with them wanting, or a couple of the members wanted to participate in the review process, right? And we advised them the reasons why that was not possible. Then it moved to getting the information at that time. Unfortunately, procurement was not able to pass that information to them because they were still in the review process, doing the best and final offers. And that process was completed only about a week or so from this past Tuesday. And so maybe they would have had that extra week. So our apologies, they had that extra week to review what the proposals were and the rankings, et cetera. But as the city manager has just stated, moving forward, kind of like what we would do with you all, we will be giving them drafts of the RFP to get their input on the selection criteria.
I just want to clarify something. Well, that was not an indictment on you. We enjoyed working with you. You've always been extremely helpful, prompt. It's a joy working with you. So it was not an indictment on you.
No, likewise, I appreciate it. I didn't think it was an indictment. I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to clarify, the city commission is, as well, the commissioners do not get involved in the procurement process for any city items that are up for bid. I think that's a very important point to protect ourselves from tainting that process, right? I do want to clarify a comment, I believe that the board member Virial mentioned about us not being able to afford this recommendation. So I want to defer to city manager to comment on that.
Yes, sir. We have enough funds to fund the first year. That's what you're approving, the first year of the contract. And if you want to go back to the slide of that, what that is, and $100,000 of that is we're using hotel occupancy tax. As you recall, this past year, we did do a mid-year budget amendment, even for the past contract, because we needed $100,000 additional for funding. We believe that the airport's marketing budget has always been, lower than we would want. That's why we're using other funding sources that are eligible to be able to augment that funding source. So we believe that also we haven't been strong in marketing. I think that's why the airport board and we all, even as a city manager, have had frustration with what we've had in the past with marketing. But there are longer term contracts that that's why we're doing year by year, right? Even though it's a 3-year term, you have a 30-day out. If there's lack of performance, if there's lack of data, if we don't think that they're going to be a big part of also monitoring performance with staff. So we feel like we can give them the opportunity. We do have the budget to do it. And if they're not performing, just like any firm, we have that in the contract where we say 30-day notice. These are the reasons why, and this is not working out. So, I do, while I understand and I really appreciate the advisory board's comments, and they are taken to heart, and that's part of, as we do check-ins, they're going to be a part of ensuring performance. I also say that we have a good number in our selection of committee. The director, Manny Chacon, does really good marketing for the city with the staff. And so, like I said, there's a checks and balances in every contract, in any contract that we see when there's non-performance or there's a performance. If they're doing a good job, maybe that merits even more funding in that. But I think we've always recognized that there's a need for more funding in marketing. And that's why even in your mid-budget amendment, we put more funding there.
May I respond? Yes. So I just want to remind everybody that affordability is only one of the 4 pillars in our decision-making process. I'm not saying that anyone is a bad advertising firm. I think that the other 3 pillars are pretty much what swayed us toward them: experience, expertise, and leadership. And we weighed those just as heavily.
Thank you, Ed. At this time,
May I say something? May I say something?
Yes,
Mayor?
yes, sir. Go ahead.
And I'd like also for the commissioners to take into consideration that who's going to be working with this marketing company? Who's there month to month meeting, volunteering, it's the board. And so I think some deference should be paid or considered in that regard. Who are the people that are going to be working with this advertising company? It's, with all due respect, it's not going to be the city commissioner. When with all due respect, it's not going to be, it's not going to be the airport administration as a whole. You've got a lot of talent on the board, and I think that's sort of just falling at the wayside. It's something that's not being considered. You have Patricia Guillermo, who was an TV anchor and working with advertising for years. You have Nick Tipton, who owns one of the largest dealerships in the city, and you got myself, who you all see me on every single bus. And you might say, well, what I do is not airport. Marketing is marketing. And if you're creative and you like what you see, then you know that we know what we're doing. So I just ask the commissioners and the mayor to take into consideration who's going to be working with this company on a regular basis, and just to pay some deference, if you will, into what we're recommending. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, Javier. And I do wish we had your advertising budget.
Yeah, but that's, Mayor, with that comment, I can afford to make mistakes because I have a heftier budget. The airport cannot afford to make mistakes.
I understand.
The budget's so small.
I
And
appreciate the.
and it has to go a long way. And I'm looking, like the airport director said, we're looking at what was initially submitted, not what was submitted, a few hours before we gathered. And what was submitted by anyone was, $250,000 in fees. That's what they felt they needed to get paid. Now you come in and ask them to slash that in half. I can only assume that they're going to give us half as much as what they thought they needed to give us. So, it's again, like our chair has said, it's based on 4 pillars, and Quotient has shown that, they have a lot of airport experience. And if they didn't have airport experience, we wouldn't be asking, that you choose them, but they do have the airport experience.
Well, thank you very much. At this time, being that this is an item that we can bring into executive session, I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session.
The mayor also move.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion?
But comments out here after, or I have a lot.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I believe you guys need to do the same thing.
Yeah, if you can go into executive session together or separately, but you would have to do the same. Make a motion.
I will entertain a motion to go into executive session under Texas Code 55. Don't have to, okay. So moved by Nick, second by Pat. Pat. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing no opposition, motion carries. We are now in executive session at 10:06 a.m.
And just for the members that are online, we did send you a link to the executive session. It's in your emails. And for the minutes, we are going under executive session 551.071.
Okay, so if we can provide Javier and David a link.
Yes.
That would be, thank you so much. Thank you.
see what time is it? It is now 11:25 a.m. Mayor, would you like to reconvene with the regular session?
Yeah, we're still waiting for a couple, yeah, the chairman.
We're gonna go back to that one. Yeah. I had a nice piece of plant. Like for them.
All right.
It is now 11:26 a.m. Mayor, would you like to reconvene with the regular session?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It is now, what is it again? I'm sorry.
11:26.
11:26, thank you. AM, Chairman, would you like to convene into open session?
Your mic, yeah.
Entertain a motion to go back into open session. Moved by Nick, seconded by Pat. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Given unanimous consent?
Not already?
Yeah, I think he was a yay. Yes.
Okay. Going, having no opposition, we are now in open session at
11:27.
11:27. Thank you.
And just for the record in the notes, there was no action by any board.
Yes, and let the record show that no action was taken in closed session.
So now we're going to go back to action item number 1.
Yes, but
I
we
will-
will be doing action item number 1 for the Airport Advisory Board. And it's consideration and take action to make a recommendation on the marketing and advertising services.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to make a recommendation to the city commission to reject the staff's recommendation to award to Anyone Collective LLC in favor of Quotient Group.
Is there a second?
Moved by Pat, second by Nick. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone abstaining? Carried, no opposition, the motion carries.
Now we will take action for action item number 1. I will read it again for the record. Consideration and action to award a 3-year term contract for marketing and advertising services for an amount of $325,000 for year 1 as budgeted. Years 2 and 3 would be in an amount of $425,000, each if appropriated by the city commission in the corresponding fiscal years. Airport.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we reject all bids in favor of putting out a new RFP and having input from the administration and staff, airport board and commission to shape what the new RFP would look like.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
Entertain a motion to adjourn at
11:29.
11:29. It's moved by Nick, second by Pat. All in favor indicate by saying aye. We are now adjourned.
Thank you. It is 11:29. Meeting has ended.
And thank you to staff for giving up your Saturday morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And happy birthday again. Yes, there is cake. Happy birthday, Commissioner, and happy birthday, Patricia.